Let's get into it. There are plenty of countries out there, but we are looking for the easiest ones. Until just a few months ago, Argentina was one of the easiest countries to obtain citizenship. Even if you didn't have legal residency, you could still apply for citizenship and nationality. That has now changed. You are now required to have continuous residency and you must stay in the country for 24 months without leaving for a single day, something we had never seen before. Previously, you were allowed to leave for a few months each year, just like Mexico still allows, but not anymore. Now you must be present every single day during the 2 years for your application to be processed. Still, it remains a solid option for those who want to sell it without looking back and obtain this citizenship. Argentina's citizens by birth cannot renounce their citizenship, but naturalized citizens can go through a legal process to renounce it. It's not easy and it doesn't happen overnight, but it can be done. This is something that interests many people for both reasons: to leverage the rights the citizenship offers, but also to avoid obligations they might not want, such as passport-based taxation, which I don't see Argentina adopting anytime soon. The European Union will do it far sooner. France already presented it at an assembly. Still, it's something to keep in mind. In Argentina, you can obtain temporary residency as a rentista and live there during that period. There is also talk of a new citizenship by investment program launching between this and next year for $500,000, possible in real estate, similar to Portugal's Golden Visa. That would mean a minimum stay per year and a waiting period of several years before getting the passport, so it wouldn't come with the same pressure Caribbean programs are currently facing. Staying in the Mercosur region, we have Paraguay. Since it's the tax residency trend at the moment, many people also want the passport. It's a neutral country, keeps a low profile, is not involved in international conflicts, and has a passport with decent freedom of movement. In Paraguay, you can apply for temporary residency or for permanent residency if you invest $70,000, not through property, but by creating a real business with a plan and hiring locals. You can apply for citizenship after 3 years of permanent residency, provided you haven't spent time in the country or built strong ties. Many clients ask me what ties means. It means paying taxes in Paraguay, owning businesses, lands, apartments, being truly integrated, or donating to institutions. That's how you ensure your applications is accepted. I have seen cases where people obtain citizenship without ever living there, and others where they did live there. It all depends on how root they are in the country. From a tax perspective, you already know the deal with Paraguay. It's incredible, both because of its territorial tax system and how it works even if you run a local business. If you pay 10% after expenses and you can deduct nearly everything, then you can pay very little if you spot a good investment opportunity. We have mentioned it before, so let's get it to Mexico. Here you can obtain nationality in just 2 years from the time you get your temporary residency. If you are a Spaniard or from a country with agreements, you must stay for 24 months total with at least 18 months physically present, meaning you can live for more than 6 months during that period. If you are not from a country with agreements, many people apply for a 1-year temporary residency, renew it for 3 years, and once they have PR, they live in the country for 2 years. Others enter as tourists, have a child in Mexico, and since the country follows jus solis, birthright citizenship, the child becomes Mexican and the parents immediately qualify for permanent residency. Then they live there for 2 years and apply. If you take the route of having a child in Mexico, be careful of where you process the documents. We have had families that by law should have gotten them easily, but local offices sometimes make it harder because they know exactly what are you doing and they don't always approve. It might be better to first temporary residency, then have the child and switch to permanent residency without issue. During those 2 required years, many people prefer not to be tax residents in Mexico due to high taxes, but under Mexican law there are ways you can technically not be considered a tax resident even if you live there year round. That depends heavily on how your structure is set up, your tax residency elsewhere, whether that country is a low tax jurisdiction, and many other factors. If you are a tax resident, there is the reciclo regime, an individual tax system where you pay a progressive rate of 1 to 2.5% on your income, your gross billing. So if you run a highly profitable business, you will pay very little tax. There is a billing limit, of course. You are capped at 3.5 million pesos, which is around $170,000. Personally, I'm a temporary resident in Mexico. I still haven't decided whether I will go for the passport, but at least I have a secure residency, and if I don't miss the deadlines, I will have permanent residency for life. There is also PR or citizenship by merit or exception. If you invest significant amounts in the country or donate in underdeveloped regions, they may grant you citizenship because they consider you valuable even if you don't meet their standard 2-year residency requirement. Let's move on to El Salvador, a very attractive country where many are paying a $1 million donation to obtain citizenship in under a year. Honestly, I don't see the point unless your net worth is 20 to 30 million or more. Still, you can get citizenship the normal way without spending a cent by naturalizing after 2 years of continuous residency, 1 year as a temporary resident, and 1 year as permanent. If your country has no reciprocal agreement with El Salvador, the process takes about 5 years. El Salvador is part of the Central American Agreement for Free Mobility, which includes El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. It's always smart to choose countries that belong to regional unions since they offer easier residency, mobility, and diplomatic protection. Then we have Uruguay, with a similar territorial tax system, multiple residency routes, and naturalization possible in 3 to 5 years depending on whether you have family ties in the country. Something I personally liked about Uruguay is that starting this year, passports no longer state your country of origin. Many times, people would fly to places where their passport offered visa-free entry only to be denied because their document listed them as Bolivian, for example, and Bolivia doesn't have Schengen access. I don't know when you are watching this video, but this is changing every time, so I don't know if the time you are watching this video, it appears or it doesn't. In Uruguay, I haven't seen citizenship granted by merit or to someone who stayed only a short time with strong ties. You will have to live there continuously for several years to obtain nationality and the passport, of course. Brazil is similar. If you have strong family ties, you can get citizenship fairly quickly. For me, there is no reason to naturalize in Brazil unless you have a child there or a Brazilian spouse. Otherwise, it takes years between temporary and permanent residency. But if you have a child there, that requirement drops to just 1 year. Like in Mexico, you would get permanent residency, and after that, you must live there for 9 months to apply. Your child automatically becomes Brazilian due to your solis. In Peru, you can also get citizenship in just 2 years. Chile is worth mentioning too. It's not the easiest path, but if you have family ties, like a child born there or a spouse, the process becomes more manageable. It generally takes 5 to 8 years, with a requirement to live there roughly 10 months per year, but it's the only Spanish-speaking country in Latin America whose citizens can enter the US with ESTA rather than a B1, B2 visa. I don't know anyone who is naturalized there by exception, only through the standard residency process. Then there is the Dominican Republic, a country many Spanish politicians enjoy visiting, not only for the passport but also for its beaches, lack of CRS enforcement, and the money quietly moved through disclosed deals. In the DR, you can obtain residency, live there for 2 years, and get citizenship and a passport, but we must consider that, unlike the other countries mentioned so far, the Dominican passport isn't particularly strong. It offers limited mobility in Asia, Europe, and Latin America. It's decent as a third or fourth passport, but not as your primary or even secondary option. You need to live there continuously to qualify, though I have seen cases where the process is faster if you invest. I'm talking about people who buy multiple properties, maybe at least $200,000, and are granted citizenship in under a year without having lived there. A colleague on my team handled such a case for a client and succeed, but it's not as guaranteed as other countries. It depends more on external factors than internal rules. These are the main options I currently see on the market. There may be more, but for now, if you are interested in any of these or in obtaining citizenship through merit or exception without having to live there in the country, fill out the form and we will see together.